Welcome to the morning session of debating. We have a debate. Is the world of gaming sexist? So, the debate will be moderated by Shams Zaber, a renowned tech entrepreneur and an educator. So, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the session. Thank you very much.
All right, good morning everyone. Is the world of gaming sexist, right? That's our question. We will find out. We'll find out today through the debate. We have the bright minds here with us from Sir John Wilson and Scholastica. I'm really excited about this topic in particular because, of course, we all know that if in case we don't, the game industry is much larger than the entertainment industry and the film industry in total. And it's big, and it's only going to get bigger with time. So if such a big industry is not promoting the right thing in our society and our culture, it is something to worry about. And I hope the young minds, have given it enough thought. But at the end of the day, it's a debate. I'm sure, you guys are playing a role. We have Sir John Wilson playing the for role and Scholastica playing the against role. But, we want to be practical, we want to be realistic, and we want to see both sides of the story at the end of the day. But let's see who gets to convince us. I'd like to introduce our honorable judges. We have Mr. Sazi Hussain, who's a Bangladeshi author, and he's written many renowned books. And one of his books is a war satire, which has actually won an award. It's called Escape from Baghdad. I'm really honored to have him. We are really honored to have him as one of the adjudicators. We also have with us Mr. Enayat Chaudhary, who is a lecturer at the Institute of Water and Flood Management in Bangladesh University in Buet, Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. So we're very happy, and he's also a very, very inspiring individual for all of us. I follow him personally, so we're really happy to have him among us. We also have with us Mr. Asan Nahian, who is very well known for his YouTube channel and his Facebook channel, of course, called Books with Nahian. He's done more than 400 book reviews. That's probably more than the books I have even seen or something. That's a lot of books. So really, really inspiring. He also happens to be the Chief of Staff of the Tech Academy. So we have the three adjudicators. And without any further ado, would actually like to get started. We just want to introduce the volunteers here. We have Zara over there who's going to keep the time. So Zara Chaudhary is the timekeeper, and the way she's going to do it is you're going to have to keep an eye on her. She's going to stand up with this, 4 minutes cue, because each of us are going to get 5 minutes. Each speaker is going to get 5 minutes. We're going to start with speaker number 1 from Sir John, if I can understand. She's speaker number 1, right? 4-minute cue, and then you get the last minute. We go to against, 4-minute cue, the last minute. Keep going. At the end, the third speaker is going to get a rebuttal of additional 2 minutes. That will be 7 minutes. So we can get a 4-minute cue, and then we can still give another last 1-minute cue before the last 2 minutes. We also have with us Tayush over there, another volunteer who will be giving out the gifts at the end. All right. So without any further ado, would like everyone to come up and introduce. So you can come up, give your talk, and also introduce yourself. Yeah, before starting the speech. So let's get started.
Hello, am I well heard? I'll be keeping my own timekeeper, and I am Mushfara Mahmood from Sir John Wilson School, and I'll be going for a speaker from the team opposition, right? Proposition. So I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Dear panel, understand that today's debate plays a huge role in our world where everyone, starting from young minds to even older people, choose gaming as their career, right? But what we face as a challenge here is when these gamers are constantly telling women who are a minority in this gaming industry to put down the controller or to play dress up, stick to playing with Barbies, because they don't simply want these women in playing games with them, right? For the girls who actually sit at their homes, they compete against men. Who compete against men, they deserve some basic civility on the playing field, right? It's their right to take part in these activities, but it's hardly a given. So to start the debate and to set some things up from our world, what does the world of gaming mean, right? The world of gaming not only comprises of the gamers or the people who actually play games, it also comprises the consumers, the game developers, the workforce who are working behind the games, who are actually developing the games, who are developing these characters, and these companies who play a huge role, and they're putting in so much money and effort and time into developing these games, right? What does sexism mean from our side of the world? We see sexism as like the prejudice behavior, the discrimination based on gender experiences. Now, it's only primarily for women, right? So what does this manifest into? This manifests into as like sexual harassment or the way the gender is representatives in ways, right? The mistreatment of women in these workplaces, the underrepresentation of women in these workplaces. So before we move on to our argument, I think we should also look for some important like structural barrier that still exists in this gaming industry, right? What does the structural barrier look like? It essentially looks like when there are gaming competitions, when there are gaming competitions, or when they're like gaming tournaments, what happens is they only have a girls versus girls only team, but they don't explicitly like let them play against guys. So what happens when you do this is like there's less competitiveness. Like what happens when girls play against girls, and when girls play against girls, there's less competitiveness, and essentially they don't get the competition that they would have if they played with guys, right? So that stands in our structural barrier. Now, we have two arguments today. Number one is that the sexualization and the harassment of women in this industry. Argument number two is like how are these women treated in the workplaces, or what happens behind the scenes of gaming industry with like the women. And number three are their impacts, which will be talked with about my second speaker, right? So the consumer base is diverse in the gaming industry, but what we see is like there's like a over-representation of men, but it's more targeted towards men as opposed to women, right? So hence what happens is like women face more harassment because it is targeted more towards men. Even if the women are good at playing games, even if they do excel in their skills, what happens is their skills are usually very overlooked by people, overlooked by men. They make them feel inferior to their male counterparts, even if they are good, right? Now, what are the impacts of this? Like, what does this make the person feel who's playing the game, right? It makes them feel really bad, where to a point they don't use mics, they don't usually verbally talk to these other players, they don't use their own pictures because they know if that's a woman, they're gonna harass her, or even they don't choose a character which is a girl, right? So that's what we understand by like how are women treated while playing games. On number two of like how are the women inside the esports or inside the game portrayed, right? So on number one on that, what we'd say is like more of these women are designed for the sexual appeal of men, right? So what does that look like? Or this is used for like male gaze as opposed to like actually showing how powerful they are or how brave they are. Most of them have like explicit clothing, skimpy clothing. The entire purpose for that is to bring in the sexual nature of it, and they're never credited for actually being strong or powerful as we would like the women to be portrayed as, right? So what happens is that the young gamers, the people who play games, the kids who play games, they have a very wrong mindset from a very young age, and that essentially occurs because of like how there is less women working force behind the games, because it is mostly a male-dominated industry, right? So this reduces the value of women as a whole. This reduces like their inherent value in real life, and all they are seen as like some sexual objects who are not given enough respect even when they can play really well. With that being said, I would like to end my speech, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mushfer. That was really, really nice. And for the little kids over there, what we're talking about is what makes a difference when boys play games versus when girls play games, right? And it was very well put by our team Sir John Wilson. First speaker, I want to introduce from Scholastica, Raika, right?
Hello everyone, thanks for giving me the plot to speak today. So today's motion is the world of gaming sexist or not? So we're basically speaking against it. So before starting with my arguments, I want to first talk about the motion of it. So what is the world of gaming? So the world of gaming is basically an imagined place. It's like a fiction. It's like it immerses the player and it feels like the players are in the world of gaming. So everything, their actions are affecting everything around them. And it has many thoughts and it has many details in this world. So what is the important elements in the world of gaming? The important elements in the world of gaming is that the story behind it that holds it. So there are many regions and realms and there are many characters, different types of people, both male and female in the world of gaming. So who are our stakeholders in this world of gaming? So our stakeholders in this world of gaming is the developers who create the games, in the gaming industry, so the game makers. Then there's the game designers who basically create the languages, design the games, create the story, characters, and they're the players who basically play the game, both male and female, and they're also the characters in the game. So some of the games which are basically very popular and played by both men and women: Dragon Age, Star Wars, Candy Crush, Pokemon Go, then Valorant, Minecraft, Among Us, and etc. So in our world, what do we mean by sexist? So we mean by sexist is that when one person believes that one sex is superior or more valuable than another sex. So we are talking about the prejudice or discrimination based on sex. We are talking about different behaviors, conditions, or attitudes that basically shows the stereotypes against sex, and these are basically more against the woman and the woman. So these sexist type of behaviors are basically conveyed by throws behaviors, speeches, writings, images, gestures, and etc. So what in our world we are trying to paint that yes, we agree that harassment and hate speeches are there in the gaming world. But the thing is, the harassment and the hate speeches do not only happen in the gaming world. There are other social platforms like Facebooks and Instagrams. These type of harassments and hate speeches also happens in these type of other platforms. So we can't tell that the whole platform is sexist, right? We can't tell that Instagram or Facebook, the whole is sexist. So this same thing also goes for the game world also. In the gaming world, yes, there are harassment, but there are harassment for few of the users are basically sexist in here. That doesn't describe that whole the world is sexist in here. The personal views doesn't relate to the whole world of gaming. So from here we understand that few of the users are basically sexist, but this doesn't show that the whole world is sexist. And next is that the government team has already said that most of the women are here basically basically a male-dominating world. But the thing is, we see that the women are also improving. If the whole world was sexist, the women couldn't have improved that much. In Germany, half of the gamers are female gamers. 34.3 million people are female gamers. And again, if we talk about other women like Sniper Wolf, LD Shadow Lady, Kitty Cat Gaming, so they are all female gamers, and how they have got so improved in this time. If the whole platform was sexist, we couldn't tell that they could improve that much. For example, Sniper Wolf, through her reaction videos, through her gaming reaction videos, have really been famous. They have almost like many what can I tell? Many subscribers. Like this Valkyrie is now the CEO of co-owner of 100 Thieves. So from these points, we understand that if the whole platform was sexist, then then the woman couldn't have improved. Then the other people couldn't have improved, or the whole platform was sexist. So basically the few users here are big sexist, not the whole platform is sexist. So from here we made it clear that not the whole platforms are sexist, and the personal views doesn't relate to the whole gaming world. Thank you. I'm gonna end my speech here.
Well, thank you, Raika. From Scholastica, speaker number 1. Well, how many of you are gamers over here? How many of us are gamers? Gamers? We've got gamers there, see. So the question is, in the world of gaming, when girls go to play, do we feel, we're at home? Do we feel it represents our world properly? That's probably what we're debating about. So it's very being well put by Raika over there. We're going to go to the second speaker. I want to welcome Arisa from Sir John Wilson.
I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, when we fail to address the actual issue that is prevalent in the status quo, we fail all the women who are gaming and who are in the gaming industry with very high hopes about achieving something, about getting to play what they actually want, right? First of all, I will do 2 things in my speech today. First, I would like to rebut the case that side opposition has provided to us, and secondly, I would like to give the second constructive that our side of the world has. Right? Firstly, to go into the rebuttals, I want to talk about how they come here and run the stereotypical "not all men" argument. But to that, we have to say that it might not be not all men, but enough to make all women insecure, right? Over here, in 3 points, we will explain why when they come here and tell us that just because some men are sexist doesn't mean everyone is sexist is a very wrong notion, right? The gaming industry is made up of mostly men, right? So when they come here and tell us that Germany has the female gamers in Germany comprise of 50% of all gamers, it just provides that more women there are being harassed, right? The 90% of most of these 50% are being harassed, right? Because we fail to acknowledge what the real problem is. The real problem is the mindset that is stemmed from making games that cater to male gaze, that cater to the sexual appeal of the men, making characters of women that wear skimpy clothes, creates an entire culture around the mindset of very young men who are really exposed to these things, right? This means that majority of the men, or at least the people in power, are the ones who have this who have a very patriarchal mindset, right? And they come here and tell us that the entire society is patriarchal. Why should we just focus and blame the gaming industry? But if we don't point fingers and fix this issue right now, it means that in the future this will keep prevailing. We will stem in the same cycle of sexism, which means that we should start somewhere, right? As my first speaker has already pointed out, the gaming industry is a very big industry, right? This is much bigger than the film industry and many other industries, right? Which means that this has a lot of importance, especially for the upcoming generations, that upcoming generations that have really big interest in this and are actually making careers out of it, right? Streamers, gamers, competitive gaming, things like that. A lot of young minds aspire to be gamers, so we need to fix this issue of sexism and address it and not just brush it off saying, yes, there is sexism in other places. Of course, those need to be addressed, but that is totally irrelevant to today's debate. So I would like to move on to the second constructive that our side of the world has to provide. That is the treatment of the women in the workforce. First of all, the side of this treatment is quite exasperating, right? For example, the CEO Bobby Kotick of Activision Blizzard, which is one of the biggest companies that develop games for things like Call of Duty, Candy Crush, etc., that they have pointed out, right? They promote a cult of sexual harassment and sexual assault, right? This has been pointed out as soon as 2021, which means that this is a very current and prevailing issue, right? And this wasn't just an isolated incident where such women were harassed, right? This has been prevailing from the very beginning. Again, going back to how the men have been already conditioned to think, right? Because the women are seen as sex objects because of the way they're dressed, right? This means that this provides to everything that these kind of culture supports, right? So, one of the other very notorious incident, the one that has actually brought the sexism in the gaming industry to the limelight, has been the Gamergate incident that stemmed in 2014. It was a literal harassment campaign against the feminist ideals and the feminist personnel in the gaming industry, right? For example, the most notably feminist media critic Anita Sarkeesian, the video game developer Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu, amongst other many female personnel. This campaign included doxing, rape threats, death threats. Do you think this is something that you can brush off by saying not all men as side proposition? We don't think so. With that, very proud to propose.
Thank you, Arisa. The online world is also a world, right? And we go with our mind. So it can always be unsafe, it will always be dangerous. So yes, you can get harassed while you're actually gaming. That's a very interesting thing, yeah. Well, I'd like to invite from Scholastica, Ariana, the next.
I'm Ariana, the second speaker, and firstly I would like to start my speech by refuting some of their points. Firstly, they said that there are only girls versus girls competitions, which lowers the competitiveness. Firstly, this is completely false. NUEL, which is a Valorant-based company, has now provided mixed gender competitions. This not only encourages more competitiveness but inclusivity. But they have cherry-picked the examples and totally tend to ignore the examples where mixed gender gaming do exist. Not only that, why are the girls versus girls competitions done in general? This is not to decrease the competitiveness but to even encourage and empower the woman. What they're trying to ignore is that gaming can empower women as well. They have talked about harassment, not being treated well, and so on. And that we're totally ignoring that. No, we're not. Again, my PM has said that yes, harassment does exist, but gaming in no way perpetuates or promotes sexism. It can empower women, and later on in my speech, I will talk about the multiple benefits and how it empowers women. Firstly, again, as my first speaker has said, there are many platforms, Insta, Facebook. Again, the few of the users can be sexist, but does this mean in general? Again, we're not talking about some men only, but the whole platform. They're totally ignoring that the topic is the world of gaming. You can't base it on few of the users' behavior at first. It also consists of the developer as well. And they have also talked more about the less competitiveness, the gender representation, and I will now elaborate my speech. Firstly, let's talk about female streamers. Okay, female streamers has been a great part in gaming currently. Not only that, there are multiple
popular female streamers who have actually encouraged young girls and boys. They have become so popular that even young boys in their preteens or their teenage years watch these female streamers and they get inspired. They start to value women. Their whole mentality change. The impact that it holds is immense. Not only that, let's talk about the genre of games. Recently, female players has increased. Even in Bangladesh, research has been done, about 41% are still female gamers. Yes, not all of them play every day, not as professional, but even some who play 3 to 4 days. That rate has increased a lot. And not only that, again, what are the genres of game? There is RPG, action games, or even role-playing games, platform games. Research has shown that most women tend to like this platform game or these puzzle games, and most men tend to prefer these action games. That doesn't mean that the women can't play the action games either, or that the men can't play these RPG games or this puzzle or platform games. Now, having different genres allows different genders to experience and see new things, to see new genres. It is attiring or attracting a whole gender in general. As the majority of the women tend to prefer this puzzle or platform games, they go in that side. So in a way, it is actually opening up new doors, this world of gaming. Now let's talk about the stakeholders. Again, who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are the developers, the game designers themselves. Again, how are that relevant? They make the game. They're the ones actually designing the game. Again, as the rate of female players has increased, they will obviously try to attract more female players. Again, the motive of this industry is not to be sexist, but rather make sales to make sure that their games are successful. As there are more female players now, they will also put in more gender representation. Thus, more players will be attracted. Not only that, even young men are tired of the sexism going around. Thus, when they see female players, not as sexual objects, but in general being represented, it will have a huge impact on the young minds of children and even adults who are in their early 20s and play competitive sports. Okay, now I will elaborate on the mainstream, the esports. Okay, what are esports? They are competitive sports or teams that play and win competitions. Again, a lot of women are there. Not only that, a lot of women do hold high positions in the world of gaming, and they're continuously ignoring that fact. Again, League of Legends, who is the CEO? A woman. Not only that, Slasher's slogan, Trisha, they have won multiple competitions. They have become inspirations to young girls and boys. Not only that, Final Fantasy, it is a game that incorporates female and male characters in their game as well. And who plays this game? Yes, this game is played by both males and females. About males playing about 50.8%, men playing that game is about 50.8%, while the woman playing that game is about 49.2%. So again, all of the genders, they see this game in general, and again, their minds are changed. Thus, I would like to conclude my speech by saying that the world of gaming is not sexist. The narrative that they're trying to portray is totally illogical. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ariana. I'd request all the speakers to maintain the time. So we have to finish in time. And now I'd like to introduce Shadman from Sir John Wilson School.
Right, so from what I understand, I'm gonna get 7 minutes like in total. So like you can give me a timestamp at 5. That's fine. And I'm gonna be like, I have a bit of an unconventional idea that engaging the audience in debates is better, so I'm gonna walking with a mic here, if that's cool with all of you. Yeah, alright. Starting then in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Show of hands, how many of you know of the game Valorant? Show of hands, how many of you know about a female esports player from Valorant? this is exactly the problem. You'll always see that every single time there's any popular esports, the people who are at the top are always going to be men. You're going to see every single time there's a big industry of gaming, the people at the top are always going to be men. Opposition can come here and always talk about that, oh look, but these women are getting chances. Firstly, even if we take them at their most charitable, there's always going to be a huge minority of women. And secondly, even when they talk about things like MUL providing mixed gender competition, you need to realize that is an extremely screwed example when the very game they talk about, Valorant, has a different league of competition for men in Riot Games, like Riot Games Valorant Challengers, and a different league of competition for women in Riot Games Valorant Game Changers. It is very like astounding to us that they can come up and tell us that, oh look, women are getting chances, this is why you should not be taking into account the fact that the world of gaming is sexist, and then platforms also exist that are also sexist, so you shouldn't be taking into account games being sexist, when in reality this becomes a, oh look, their argument, because the matter of fact is, just because something else is sexist, you shouldn't be not addressing the fact that this sole thing that we're talking about can also be the problem, right? Just because Facebook and Instagram are sexist as well, doesn't mean gaming is automatically absolved of being sexist, right? And that is the main thing that we're trying to portray to you in this debate. What you need to realize regarding this debate is that multiple avenues of change have to exist to change what the matter of fact is in the status quo. That is, women are underrepresented and women are misrepresented. What does the underrepresentation look like? The underrepresentation looks like difference in competitiveness in different leagues when it's specifically catered to women. A big example of this could be in the Overwatch League, when the all-female competitive team went into the Overwatch League and every single other team was male-dominated and basically all males, and they were not able to win a single match. The reason for this does not lie in the fact that they are competitively more weak, but the reason for this lies in the fact that they do not get the same resources that all male-dominated teams get due to the reason of structural barriers existing. What does these structural barriers look like? These look like inherent natures of prejudice against women. This looks like whenever a woman takes up a PC or whenever a woman takes up a controller in an online game, every single person being like, ah look, you're a woman, so you won't have the same amount of skill as I do because I am a man. This is the kind of inherent prejudices that exist in society, and for them to say Instagram is sexist and Facebook is sexist, okay fine, we agree all of that is sexist, but that does not absolve the fact that the world of gaming is sexist as well. They cannot run an even what if argument and then win against us in this debate when we're trying to clearly show that the world of gaming is sexist, right? Moving on to my own constructions a bit more. Recognize that the nature of sexism in gaming comes from the industry in itself, when historically most of the industry has gone ahead and pertained to male appeal. What does this look like? Illustrations of this look like games like GTA 5 and games like Mortal Kombat, when all of the dresses of women are going to be skimpy to appeal to the male gaze. The examples of this look like games like Cyberpunk 2077, when you're going to see women without clothes lying on the table just so they can appeal to the male gaze, right? These are the kind of things we want to change in the world of gaming, and this change will not happen on their side of the world, solely due to the fact that they say that the world of gaming is not sexist just because Instagram is sexist or Facebook is sexist. Fine, we agree these are sexist. That doesn't absolve the world of gaming, as I've been telling you all this time. Moving on then. What exactly is the nature of this industry, right? We have given you an example of Bobby Kotick, and like CEO of Activision Blizzard. They come up and say that example is extremely strawman and cherry picked. However, recognize that this is simply not true and not the case, because whenever investigative research is done into any gaming or any big gaming corporation, it is always found out that they promote a culture of harassment. When you look at TSM, Reggie, who has always promoted a cult of harassment for his women employers and for his women players. When you look at 100 Thieves, they talk about 100 Thieves being a great example. 100 Thieves CEO is Nate Shot, and he always holds power over his co-CEOs who happen to be Valkyrie. When you look at examples such as League of Legends, when every single team is male dominated, when you look at examples such as Valorant, when the CEO of these big corporations are sending explicit pictures to their women employees without the consent of these women. You need to realize that the world of gaming, the culture of gaming and the industry of it is pertained in such a way that this allows for these things to happen, because historically and coming through till now, all of it has pertained to the nature and pertained to the idea that women are inferior and women do not have the same amount of skill. Time check. Right. So, as we have shown you through our constructives, and we have built up a worldview of how the world of gaming is inherently sexist, we'll be giving you some comparatives, right? On our side of the world, we showed you why historical structural barriers exist for women to get into the world of gaming and why these barriers do exist. The comparative on their side of the world then looks like, but other things are also sexist, so gaming is not sexist. We do not see the logic in this. This becomes an inherent logical fallacy in itself, because just because one thing is sexist, it doesn't absolve the other thing. Moreover, when they talk about specific examples of how like female players play different sort of games than men do, we do not see why that is necessarily very relevant in this debate. But even being most charitable to them, what this then looks like is female players being in a vacuum compared to the other kinds of games that men can play, solely due to the fact that they're female. As per the definition of sexism then, the world of gaming becomes automatically sexist because you're making a divide between what women can play and you're making a divide between what men can play. This necessarily solely then becomes the root of the evil and the root of the problem, because the point in time in which there is any sort of divide between what caters to one gender solely due to how that gender is, then is the point in time in which that becomes sexist by itself, right? What are the constructors we have given to you in this debate that make us win? We have shown to you, number one, why there is an historical structural system which allows for discrimination against women. Number two, we have shown to you why this is extremely relevant. Number three, we have given you a comparative and shown to you why, on their side of the world, in their most charitable, they can talk about why other things are sexist. That doesn't mean gaming is not sexist. And number four, we have shown to you why on our side of the world there's greater incentive for positive change. With all that being said, very proud to be on Team Proposition.
Thank you, Shabnam from Sir John Wilson School. That was quite unconventional, and I'd leave the judges to decide what they think about that unconventional approach. But I also want to clarify, this is a friendly debate. We're all here to have a good time and understand, go deeper into the topic. So with that, I will invite Farheen El Majoubi from Scholastica, and you can also be unconventional if you want to.
Yep, hi, this is Farheen, and I'm from Scholastica, speaking third. I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1.
What side proposition is trying to go forward here is, hey, look, sexism is going over and it's the most prominent thing there. Yes, sexism does exist and we are not disagreeing to that. But focusing on the wrongs here and focusing on the negative sides to it is not the best way to move on in the situation. In the entirety of the gaming industry, not everyone is sexist. Most people, there might be some few minorities who might be sexist towards women, but this can occur in any situation. There's always rights, there's always wrongs. So in the case of Facebook and Instagram, there might be some selected people who are sexist. Similarly, in the gaming industry, as it was described before, it's an extremely large industry where there are opportunities for a lot of types of people. So in that case, being sexist also factors in with representation. So firstly, the main factors in representation which our other speakers had talked about. So for example, Valkyrie and other female representatives that have existed in as streamers or like other Twitch streamers as well. So firstly, in terms of representation, these people are extremely important. Just because they are co-CEOs doesn't mean that they still don't hold a large position in the gaming industry. Yes, we still agree that statistically it is a male-dominated industry, but that doesn't mean that females can't take the top positions as well and empower other women in the first place. So instead of focusing on, hey, look, everyone's sexist, let's look at the entirety of the negatives here, let's look at the positives here and see that women are still striving, women are still doing great in the first place. Then secondly, we have to talk about the cultural aspects here as well. Gaming is themselves, as my second speaker had said, not promoting sexism. It's the other cultural aspects that are. And so gaming themselves, they're still promoting different gender competitions, they're still promoting that. And also they have a representation of women in the first place. And in that case, if you also talk about the developers also have a motive and incentive to include female people as well, so that they have a better face value, and also so that the developers have proper sales as well, which my second speaker had also elaborated on. So them focusing on, hey,
hey look, most people, if these are sexist, these developers won't focus on that. These developers will focus on representing most people that are there and to please the media and to make sure that they have proper face value, and also to basically have as much representation as possible so that their game is popular among all aspects as well. And also, as the proposition was saying that that women are basically placed in a vacuum of like puzzle games and stuff. But what my second speaker was actually trying to go for is that there are different types of games for different types of people. That's why variety exists. That's why there are. That's what pleases the media. That's what is good for sales as well. So that there are different kinds of genres for different kinds of people. So that's why puzzle games. Not all women are into action games, but gaming industry is a really large spectrum. It is not just action games. There are different kinds of games that can be there. They can be online games. They can be more friendly games. They can be more action-based games, right? So females themselves, they have that. It isn't a vacuum. It is a place where they can start off and they can actually feel represented. And it is not bad to have puzzle games. And then if they are from the representations that they can have from Twitch, they can basically go for action games as well, because again, these game developers are trying to promote female people, and basically have a larger sale in the first place. So this basically proves that depending on like the previous years, the present is a lot much more better, and most people in these industries are not as sexist, and so basically the situation is a lot retrospectively better. And what my other speakers had also talked about is how basically in about tolerance and hate speech, that these people can basically come out and talk about themselves in the media, the women, even in the worst case where they are basically being harassed, even if we focus on the negatives, they can still talk about themselves in the media, and the developers will have the incentive to basically listen to the media, because even though these developers are basically rich billionaires, they still have the incentive to basically have basic proper face value and basically have basically represent their company properly. So with that, I'd like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
While we wait, this reminds me of Debbie Sterling. So I don't know if you are aware of Debbie Sterling. She's a mechanical engineer in the United States of America, and she struggled a lot when she was trying to study mechanical engineering. And she figured that the kind of toys that she grew up and played with, like the Barbies and the colorful toys, never prepared her for spatial reasoning and the mechanical engineering skills. And she actually opened a company called Goldie Blocks. And the company, the toys were colorful, they were like Barbie, but they also had the spatial reasoning and mechanical things. So maybe we need a Debbie Sterling in the gaming industry, right? That'd be really cool. Guess we'll start any moment from now. Right. We'll invite Farheen again for her rebuttal.
All right, here again. So I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, as I was continuing in my previous speech, side proposition has been going on about saying that that sexism has been going about the entirety of the industry. But what they were focusing on is sexism in the entire world. They weren't focusing on the gaming industry. And it is impossible to have almost every single individual in the gaming industry to be sexist. There are people who are sexist, but that is only a certain part of the gaming industry. The gaming industry consists of developers, it consists of consumers, which they had also characterized as well. So it doesn't, we have to basically primarily focus on the people who aren't being sexist, who are actually following following female representatives, who are basically being empowered by the female representatives, and actually learning from these, basically learning from what their role models as well. So that's the first thing. And secondly is that they were also trying to go about saying that the gaming industry, so
what we're primary basically motive here is to enact that that the gaming industry is full of representatives and they can basically hold represent women and have a proper area in which they can, yeah, that's, thank you.
Thank you, Farheen. We are at the end of all the speakers' speeches and would like to invite our, the adjudicators, our honorable adjudicators, to come up and share with us the comments and what they think about both the teams and their logic and everything. We do have a surprise, and the surprise is that we have decided to not disclose the results. So we all are winners, but we'd still love to have the adjudicators come up and comment. So I'd like to invite Mr. Anay Chaudhary up first. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to appreciate the effort of Dhaka Lead Fest to arrange a debate inside the premise. And I was a debater for 10 years, and I feel very happy that young kids are here to enjoy this debate. And sometimes I feel that in the joy of, in the motive of winning a debate, somehow or somewhere or sometimes we have lost the happiness or enjoyment of enjoying or just relieving our logics and our opinions through the mass, and just enjoy the debate. It's very important here. So, is the world of gaming sexist? I'm very proud that the young people, like debaters we have here, have very strong opinions for in the proposition side and also the opposition side, and they are very familiar with the esports industry of Bangladesh or the world or in the world. So my first question will be: have you watched the series Mismatched on Netflix? Have you watched it? Okay. So this series, do you know the girl who is a YouTuber named Prajakta Kole, and her YouTube channel name is Mostly Sane? So she is the protagonist of that Mismatched series. So she was a female gamer there. So I was just analyzing the logics and comparing it to the current state, the status quo of our gaming industry. So it was maybe mentioned by the first speaker or the second speaker of the opposition that the female game streamers and the female gamers, these two genres are totally different. So there are streamers, there are gamers. There are many gamers who don't stream. And there are many competitive gamers who always streams and earns money from the YouTube or Facebook or these kinds of things. Are you familiar with that? There is a big earnings. This is a very big earning source. So one thing which is very rightly put by the third speaker of the proposition side, that being sexist inside the gaming industry is not always related to the Instagram or Facebook landscape, but when we are presenting one female character in an erotic way, in a skimpy way that you have mentioned, that this actually makes the gaming industry as a sexist one. We always see that the female characters or the female leads or the protagonist of inside a game, it's always presented in an erotic way, that how a male wants to see a woman inside the game, and it's actually sexist, these types of behavior. But on the other side, you have mentioned that inside the gaming industry, unlike other industries or unlike other job fields, there is no entry barrier for the women or the female person. So anyone can stream anytime. Any female character or any female person can start their gaming channel or start their gaming career at any point. So if you want to get a corporate job, you go some multinational company and they will ask you, do you have a children or not? So if you have a children, then okay, it's good. So if you don't have a children, if you don't have a child, then they will consider that you will take maternity leave at some point of your job career, and they won't allow it. So I guess the gaming industry is much more sexist than the other corporate job fields. So, and another thing is the use of slangs inside the gaming industry, and it generally discourages the female gamers to take part in the games. But what I'm saying that this is a level playing field for both genders, like male or female, and it's up to us that how we treat this field and how we make the world of gaming as a women-friendly or a gender-friendly landscape. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anay Chaudhary. So I'd like to introduce the other adjudicator, Mr. Asa Nahyan, up to share his opinion and his view on how the debate went so far.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a while since I last was in a debate, and it was really good to see all the debaters talking about such an important topic, because I feel that it's great that you are actually thinking about these things even when you are thinking about gaming. And one amazing part about debate, what I used to like when I used to debate, is that we all have our personal views, right? Maybe I'm a person who believes that gaming industry is sexist. Maybe it's not the same for others. But regardless of what my personal opinion is, I have to look at the things from a different perspective. So maybe some of you did the same here as well. But regardless of that, it's very important for us to be able to look at the same thing from different angles. Even if I don't believe in something, maybe I don't agree with the same thing, but there's nothing wrong in looking at that from a different view, from a different perspective. And I think that when debating, this is something we can learn, and maybe something that we can also use in our lives. Is gaming industry or the gaming world sexist? That's definitely is a debatable topic. That's why we debated on it. And maybe we cannot actually come to a conclusion objectively, because there are a lot of factors, variables and perspectives that we can think about when we are thinking about it. But it's great to listen to the points that you have already discussed. And I personally feel amazed by the participation of female gamers in the gaming world. Even in Bangladesh, I know YouTubers who are in Bangladesh regularly playing, streaming, and they are really good. Also, yes, there are a lot of things that we don't want them to happen in the gaming industry and in other aspects of our social lives, and that's why talking about these things helps. Like a lot of you already mentioned that yes, we need to address the issues that there are there, and only then we can be able to fight those. So I think this debate will widen up that scope for all of us who are here. Thank you.
Mr. Saad Hussain is here, our third educator, so we'll actually be giving out the gifts, and Mr. Saad is a renowned writer, and we are actually giving out some of his own books.